Henry Cejudo is one of the best fighters to ever step foot inside of a UFC octagon. The former Olympic gold medalist has done it all in combat sports. Here's a former UFC flyweight and bantamweight champion. The American recently unretired to challenge then-champion Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight title. Cejudo will look to get back to winning ways against Merab Dvalishvili at UFC 298. Yet, Cejudo could walk away from the sport if he loses. Cejudo has created quite a legacy for himself. He has accomplished a lot in the sport. There was a lot of excitement when he returned to action to face Sterling. Yet, even though it was a competitive fight, he was still bested by his opponent. He will face a tough test against Dvalishvili as the Georgian is one of the better fighters in the UFC today. Both competitors are great wrestlers and have decent skills on their feet. It looks like a competitive clash and is a must-win for Cejudo. If the former champion loses, that will push him to the bottom of the pile. Furthermore, in the stage he is at in his career, it is easy to see him walking away if he doesn't get his hand raised at UFC 298. Cejudo himself talked about this in a recent interview with the HJR Experiment. This fight is for the #1 contender spot. After losing to Aljamain, I believe that if I had to go down the ladder, I would probably quit fighting again. Henry Cejudo admitted on the HJR Experiment podcast earlier this week. Yeah, man. This sport is hard, man. Training camps, having 2 kids, things like that. It's all or nothing, man. He continued, it's more of a motivation of vengeance why I returned. It's not always the love of the sport, not man. Even coming back to the sport, I wanted to test myself. I like the matchup, which has been 3 years, and the financial compensation. There's nothing easier to make money than the fight game. I'm not really young, man. I don't feel those highs. Even with fighting. People talk about fighting in front of 25,000 people. I can't give 2F***CKS. It could start with love for fighting. At the end of the day, you're so far in that it almost becomes a business. Henry Cejudo concluded. That's kind of where I find myself. It'll be interesting to see how the fight plays out at UFC 298, and it is always great to see Cejudo in the octagon.